Hey, welcome back into today's video. Another episode of the Rep Reports, the news that matters to you. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this saga here on the channel, we talk about things that are going on in our neck of the woods, little things that are happening in our community, the things that we care about. I want to talk about YouTuber Dream. There's some stuff going on with YouTuber John Swan and Cordwit. We're gonna go over that. I do want to bring up the Lindsay Lohan, David Letterman situation. I feel like it's really important to talk about that. If you watched the live stream, I very much appreciate you for attending that. We had a lot of support there, and we need to talk about the stigma on addiction. All that and more as the Rep Reports. If you're unfamiliar with John Swan, member of the notorious Goon Squad, he is one of the greatest editors on the YouTube platform. Single-handedly took down Chris Hansen and exposed the inconsistencies within his YouTube career. Be teaming up with a smaller YouTuber named Cordwit. Now this guy, he's got some really good videos. His last video on the major problem with T channels was pretty in-depth. He's becoming one of my favorites pretty quickly on the platform. They're teaming up and they're going to talk about stan culture and the situation with Dream and how he goes about his stan culture rhetoric. Dream is one of the fastest growing YouTubers on the platform with over 18 million subscribers. He mostly does Minecraft stuff, but he's got some pretty out there views on stan culture and how he builds his community, and a lot of people have criticisms that pretty much point out he feeds into this. One Twitter user says, I think it's because of the massive shift the internet made when Dream got big. Stan culture has massively exploded since Dream blew up, and a lot of people either love it or hate it. And if you're unfamiliar with what stan culture is, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the term stan is defined as an extremely, excessively enthusiastic or devoted fan. And according to the Odyssey Online, stan culture is defined as something notorious for extreme actions generally committed by a minority within a fan base, such as threatening others. This is pretty understood between most people, but not to Dream. Dream states on Twitter that stans are a group of people trying to meet other people with similar interests while expressing this interest through shared morals, love, and creativity. This sparked a huge online debate. He goes on to feed into stan culture by quoting, saying, "It's weird to obsess over people. Have them as your profile pic. Always tweet about them." Tweeted by Tom Brady 7964, profile picture Patriots logo, currently wearing Tom Brady jersey. Most recent tweet, Tom Brady's going to pop off next game day. You just don't like the same thing as them, and that's okay. Don't use the crimes of a few to punish the many. Even retweets a user saying, to generalize an entire culture of stans on a few toxic people is ignorant. In another tweet, Dream says, proof that only unverified people are cool, a thread. And of course, it was a thread full of just fans, which, well, I believe there's nothing wrong with like promoting your fans and encouraging your fans. There is something wrong with feeding into a toxic culture that has been the epitome and push of the force of many negative things online. This is something that you don't want to awaken. A Twitter user that goes by the name Jaws Hawk put up a very good point. I'm going to read this thread. It looks like the original thread was deleted, but somebody's got a copy thread up, so we're going to go through that. In this Twitter thread, he says specific things pointing out that if you're a stan or a part of a Twitter group or participate in any activities associated with the culture, please unfollow. I cannot tolerate it any longer and wish to have nothing to do with it. He states that he's tired of random people tagging him, obsessing over him, stating that these people are mentally unwell. Their obsessions with online personalities only amplify this. They're immature and easily influenced. Their principles and views are never their own, but are rather those of various content creators, which they watch. He states that these people have immoral actions and are taken by an individual simply because their moral frame of reference is people who do similar things. He says social medias like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram have fed into this and amplified this on a larger scale. stating, I believe primarily the individual and the culture individual does not exist in the collective that is the Stan or Twitter community. It is repulsive and entirely against my principles. While I do think it was brave for this content creator to come out and say this and state his beliefs and stand by those things, I both can see where he is right and some of which where he is wrong. That being that, yes, what's popular isn't necessarily the most intelligent thing, and people usually go with what's popular because they feel safer in numbers, and they're thinking, well, if all these people are saying this, well, then it must be the safe thing to say. We've seen time and time again in popular media that this is absolutely not the case. Most commonly seen in high school. As you're in high school, the collective they break off into specific groups, close-knit groups, and many do not venture outside of those specific groups so that they can feel safe. This goes back to the beginning and the dawn of our time, where it was a survival instinct for us to stay in these close-knit groups so we don't wander off from the pack and fall into a saber-toothed tiger's mouth. So Dream sparks the conversation with parasocial relationships, and if you don't know what a parasocial relationship is, parasocial interaction refers to a kind of psychological relationship experienced by an audience in their mediated encounters with performers in the mass media, particularly on television. Viewers or listeners come to consider media personalities as friends, despite having limited interactions with them. I see where this is both a healthy thing and something that could be perceived as an unhealthy thing. So my community, the Rep Squad, they mean a lot to me. This is a parasocial relationship. This is the best that I can offer, because obviously I can't sit down and hang out with each and every one of you, but we have this parasocial relationship built, and I want to build my community up in a specific way where it is positive, but I want it to be built up in a realistic, positive, and healthy frame. That's why I push things constantly like taking care of your own mental health and things of that nature, whereas Dream seems to only have the pushing of like, oh, I just love you, I love you, just do this and do that, with no specific consistency, but just to love me. More so, it's just a parasocial relationship for the sake of a parasocial relationship, and I think that's what Josh was talking about in his Twitter thread. When it comes off with absolutely no consistency, it is just sort of a mindless hive of popular thinking. And if you don't have it focused on any specific thing, and you're just like ramping this community of people up, you're going to end up with aimless and dangerous scenarios. And we're going to talk about that. Hello, it's me from the future, just scooting in here to point out another important example. John Swan received this, and it's a vulgar fanfic, but I'm going to show you how this was encouraged by Dream, and why. That's right, Greg. Why? Another reason why Dream needs to realize his impact when he says and does things. John Swan tweets, "This genuinely makes me uncomfortable." I'm not going to read this, but if you just check out the screen, you can see that would make me uncomfortable, and it's important to say that this is encouraged by Dream. He doesn't seem to concept that just because he thinks something's okay for him and he thinks it's funny, if he encourages his stans to do these types of things, not everyone's going to feel the same way as him. Everybody has different boundaries. This is what Dream said.
Now, I do think that sexualizing creators overall, if they're not okay with it, is wrong, or sexualizing a minor, but otherwise, we don't care, honestly. We do not care in any way whatsoever about essentially anything that can be said. We have sat there reading like fanfics that are like the most lewd, disgusting stuff, laughing. So trust me, we do not care. We do not care in any way. Whoever wants to say anything about us, we don't care. So I just want to address that because people get upset about that. And I've seen so many people getting canceled over that. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, really? We don't care. None of us care. Don't be upset on our behalf because we don't care about it.
A couple things to point out here is that some of Dream's friends are minors in these fan fictions, and you'll see where he says, you know, he doesn't agree with this type of treatment toward creators, while at the same time saying that he's okay with this type of behavior. That contradicting thing promotes definitely not a definite aim, and it kind of counterbalances itself, but goes back into how he says, oh, I disavow these things. I've said that I disavow these things, but then goes on to allow these things. The danger of not having a consistent and dedicated, definite focus in your community could be seen most recently with the White House scenario with Donald Trump and how his supporters stormed the House and things didn't go so well. Now, for the viewers out there that think I'm going to compare Dream to Donald Trump, that's not what I'm doing, so do not put those words into my mouth. I'm only giving you an example of parasocial relationships and the difference between a dedicated aim with your community and not one. This brings us back to John Swan and Cordwit. John Swan and Cordwit are in the midst of a video where they're breaking down this type of behavior by Dream. John Swan says this on Twitter.
You know, when I first started working on my Dream video with Cordwit, I thought the whole stuff about Stans might have been a little bit overplayed. All right, maybe it was a little bit dramatic, but it's not. I've never had like a proper interaction with a horde of Dream Stans before. It's always been like maybe 10, 20 at a time, which is nothing. But now this is the first time I've actually had like a horde of them. Like this is something quite different. And it's literally everything that like Josh has said and other creators have said have been 100% correct. Like, if you're a stan, shouldn't your end goal be to change the public perception and not play into a stereotype? Like there's a stereotype online right now that Dream Stans are bad. So instead of trying to change that stereotype, they go off and attack the people who are making tweets. Like, I just don't get the logic. Now, to be clear, I do not care that people have been, quote tweeting me or anything. I think it's funny. I've been laughing all morning. I woke up to like 600, 700 quote tweets on my tweet, and I've been having a field day. But I just think it's so funny how these people place themselves on like a moral high ground, but everything else, everything they do is in complete contrast to that. I've been having people sending me death threats and stuff, which I don't care. I find it funny and I laugh. But it's so pathetic, It's like everything that people have said about these people, they literally are as bad as what the stereotype says they are. And instead of trying to change that, they just feed into it. So, yep, this is going to be quite the video. They've literally had it like everything to talk about in a video on like a silver platter. So I'm looking forward to it.
To give you an idea of how many people are actually coming after John Swan and Cordwit, one Twitter user says, all for criticism, this is genuinely hilarious. They've proven his point that Dream Stans are uncontrollable and an unrelenting hive mind of everything wrong with stan culture. Good job, guys. This video is going to bang. John Swan was trending in the United States. The reason that they were trending is because of so many of Dream's stans quote tweeting them. But what did Dream do? Dream took to Reddit about John Swan saying, this guy is bad news. A while back, right after I interviewed with him for a Minecraft documentary, he changed his profile picture and name on Discord to mine and started DMing people pretending to be me. He sent people the N-word and a lot of other stuff. He would then, from his main Twitter, vouch that it was me and say that we were amazing friends and link the documentary to prove it. Once I confronted him about it, very nicely given the circumstances, he said that his friend had hacked his accounts and done it. I didn't reply to him and unfollowed him, and I don't think he's super fond of me since. John Swan responds saying he wants to ensure that everything is perfectly clear. For context purposes, John Swan said he had logged into his Discord server, left it logged in, and that a family friend who was possibly also autistic had taken over that account and started messaging other people. Dream counteracted this in his live stream, which had over 300,000 viewers, nearly broke the internet for a drama topic. So he broke it down and he said that some things that were absolutely not true.
One thing that I think would prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that John Swan is lying and that you're right is this part of your original Reddit post that you made where you say that he sent people the N-word and a lot of other stuff as well as sexual stuff while claiming that it was me and giving his main Twitter to vouch, where he would then from his main Twitter vouch that it was me and say that we were amazing friends and link the documentary to prove it. You read this on your stream and called it a tough accusation but completely glossed over it. Where's the proof that this has happened?
Well, again, this happened a year ago. That's from my memory. Now, after thinking about it, there is a small chance, a small minuscule chance that I misinterpreted what someone said about him having his Twitter linked to
to his Discord profile.
Now, I was in the chat watching Augie RFC go over this situation very in depth, and we came to several different conclusions, one of which Lieutenant Cobra actually had a conversation with John right before this alleged Discord takeover. And the most current conversations would have been Lieutenant Cobra and Harley.
For the audience who don't have an idea, because we went through that very quickly, is that basically yesterday there was new evidence. The conversations in question on Discord are from the 7th of February 2020, and these screenshots that have been released by Lieutenant Cobra are from the night before the 6th of February 2020, where he sent John Swan DMs between him and Harley, where they were having problems, and the DMs clearly show that. So the argument is, because this would seemingly benefit John, is that if this kid was to log onto John Swan's Discord on the 7th, as John claims he did, these messages between Lieutenant Cobra and Harley would have been probably one of the first things he saw, so he would have known, he could have plausibly known about Lieutenant Cobra and Harley's problems, and the message he sent to Harley was only things not working out with Lieutenant Cobra. It wasn't incredibly insightful or as if he had crazy knowledge about it. It's pretty face value. So it makes it plausible anyway.
It makes it more plausible than it was
that
before,
this little kid could have gone on the account and seen that. So
This does completely back up John's story, but I don't want to get into the depths of that. We may go over that in another video, but for this video, I want to focus on this. Currently, Dream is encouraging stan culture. He's always been doing this. He said this in a DM. Harley, who is involved in the situation, says to Dream, "I would recommend you speak out about the abuse Cordwit has gotten purely for making video criticizing you. His friends is being used against him by people saying he should do the same thing. I'd appreciate if you could speak about this." To which Dream replies, "I disavowed stuff like that many times. If I specifically acknowledge it about him, it'll make it worse. Trust me. Bad people do bad things regardless. I don't support it, obviously." I have a lot to say about this. I tweeted last night saying, "Hey Dream, I think you should publicly condemn the attacking of John Swan and Cordwit. I've seen where you feel like it would call more attention to them. Let's be honest, you've already had a Drama Alert episode and a stream with over 300,000 viewers, hyper-focused on the drama." Nicholas Diorio says, "Calling it off is just talk. He would probably make it very worse. I don't think he can do anything." To which I replied, "I feel like you're the guy that would tell me if this is a bad comparison, if it is. But imagine if Trump didn't condemn those involved in the Capitol riot. I feel like just condemning those involved as not a part of the community would be helpful. I mean, he already streamed the drama." Ashley says, "I'm confused on how doing a stream and an interview brings less attention than telling his stans to stop." I said, "Right, I feel like he must acknowledge the prevention of by his community. It is the necessary and responsible thing to do now. He has already called attention to the drama." And that makes the most sense to me. I could see where if he had never drawn any attention to this in the first place, then yes, it would signal boost the situation. But seeing as he already signal boosted the drama in the first place with a live stream and then a Drama Alert episode, you've already done the damage. And for you to just stop at your stans and community members to attack them, that's not good enough, Mr. Dream. Now, to further drive this point, you saying that bad people do bad things regardless, well, that is just common sense. Is yes, there are bad people in the world that exist, and we can't control their actions, but what we can control is the whole perspective of the community. If you disavow these type of things publicly, then your community is less likely to do those things because they don't want to be shunned by that community. Like I said, this can most commonly be seen, and I'm not comparing Dream to Donald Trump, but with the Capitol riot, how Donald Trump did come out and disavow that, any followers that had anything to do with it as part of his community. This is not just a responsible thing to do. I believe, in my opinion, it's the necessary thing to do. Now it appears the stans are turning towards Cordwit. I'm immune to, because I'm a public figure, obviously, but you know what? Never in the history of being on this platform have I ever received as many as when I said, "Can't wait for you to watch our video, bro," to Dream. What a lovely community he wields. As a leader of a community, when you see something like this, when you see that this is a trending topic on Twitter, and when you see that it's gotten this massive, and you do not say anything, you have to be the leader. You gotta hold that lantern. The person that holds the lantern lights the path for everyone else that's following. Now, the person that holds the lantern, if they're not guiding the people in the right direction, not good things happen. So, Dream, you better come out and condemn this type of behavior. It's not good. You should probably do something about that. Also, in the news, Lindsay Lohan and David Letterman. Now, I did a live stream about this just the other day, and I had a lot to say. We took some callers, and it was a pretty good talk, and there was a lot of things that need to be talked about in this video, a lot of things that we brought up. So if you guys are unfamiliar, there was a Lindsay Lohan interview on David Letterman in 2013. It started making rounds again, and it was the most disgusting thing that I believe I've ever seen.
Now, aren't you supposed to be in rehab now?
Do you not watch anything that goes on?
I do.
Tabloid now?
Now, here's what
May 2nd.
I was under the May 2nd.
Yes.
And how long will you be in rehab?
3 months.
How many times have you been in rehab?
Several.
And how will this time be different? What are they rehabbing, first of all? What is on their list? What are they going to work on when you walk through the door?
We didn't discuss this in the pre-interview.
No, but it'll be 3 months and
no, I think to be honest, I'm the happiest when I'm working and healthiest, and I think this is an opportunity for me to, focus on what I love in life, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a blessing. And
do you have addiction problems?
now you sound like Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it like alcohol? You drink too much?
We discussed this in the past.
Did we really? When did we discuss
because
it? I'm the one who's having the blackouts. What is that?
I'm just saying.
I want to be in rehab. Oh my God. So now, when you go to the rehab, what do they do?
We have to work here for a movie.
We have to what?
Let's stay on the positive.
Oh, what?
Aside from that side of the positive.
Yeah. All right. I have a list here of things that you've endured. Can I run down a few things?
Oh,
here?
can I see them first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks.
You can read them or not read them.
Okay.
Up here,
I thought you were gonna be nice.
These are the appetizers up here. These are the main courses. There's your desserts down at the bottom. Those are the jokes.
Oh. Are you okay now? Are you okay now? It feels like people should be helping you. Do you have money saved? Therapy? Ask yourself, why always in trouble? You can't make a joke of it.
That's so mean. I'm not joking.
No, you're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Maybe one or two?
No, this is my show now. Stop.
Oh, she's tearing up a little bit. God bless you. There you go.
This video got over 200,000 likes and a lot of quote tweets and retweets. As of right now, it's still a discussion, and neither Lindsay or David has responded to any of this backlash. During my live stream, one caller called in, and we did have a discussion about the stigma that this put on addiction recovery. I'm going to play that now. Willow, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good today. Thank you for asking. How do you feel about this Lindsay Lohan and David Letterman stuff?
Well, I just kind of wanted to pop on. I'm a harm reduction worker in Canada. So my job actually works with people who use substances and, those with struggling with mental health conditions. So as soon as I saw this on my feed this morning, I was livid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you that you're bringing awareness to this, because it's something that we deal with in our community and across the world consistently. And, substance use can kill people, but we believe that stigma is the real killer, and people won't get help if they have stigma, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. My mother was a drug addict growing up, and when I saw this, it was something that I felt compelled to talk about, and I still may talk about it in a video, but I wanted to bring it to my platform here first, just to start a discussion. It's a disgusting thing, and I don't know how much of a say Letterman had in the show and those questions or the decisions in that, because he's just the host of the show, but I want to know more about that situation. So I don't think we're going to hear more about it until we hear Letterman make a statement or Lindsay make a statement, because imagine if this was something that he didn't have to do.
And I always think, I go back to, this is a celebrity, and two celebrities really, right?
Right.
That this happened between. Now think about if this happened to you or me, right? Like if it is so perpetuated, like the stigma is so perpetuated that we can do this to celebrities on live television, what are we doing to people behind closed doors? And doctors and counselors, police officers, all these things, they're going to see this as appropriate behavior,
Right.
or general society, whether it's 2013 or 2021.
I think it's a result of the culture no longer accepting past behaviors, and it is in a way it's the culture trying to repair itself.
Yeah, and I think that would be super cool. And I mean, as horrible as this was to have happened to her, I'm really glad that it's being brought up again. As much as I know it's probably traumatic for her, but it's allowing for folks to have this conversation in 2021, where when like it might have been more acceptable in 2013, but times are changing. And
Hmm.
I mean, I'm seeing this in my work every day, and I'm seeing it. We're talking about it on YouTube. How cool is that, right? Like that's
Yeah,
hopeful, right?
it
It's very
is.
hopeful for the future with people, with just mental health and addictions and as a whole. So I just, yeah, I just wanted to pop on. I've never been on live on your streams or
Hmm.
anything, but this is something I'm super passionate from my lived experience and the lived experience of the people I work with. And yeah, I really, really want to encourage people to have these discussions, not only on YouTube, but I want you to have these discussions with your family and your friends. They're going to be hard, but that's what's going to help us create change. And you might save somebody's life, right? So
Hmm.
I'm just really encouraging people to do that. And yeah, thank you, Rep. This is great.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate you for calling in.
Thanks.
There's definitely a stigma on this type of stuff. Like I said, my mother is an ex-drug addict, and she's dedicated a lot of her time on helping other recovering drug addicts. And it's a bumpy road. It's sensitive stuff to talk about, and seeing stuff like how David Letterman was behaving, the prying questions. Well, obviously, no one should go through that. Now, I wanted to know, was the real people laughing? And I did find out that it was real people. There was a lot of people hopefully thinking it was a laugh track, real people. But I did find out that Letterman was one of the first people to use laughing cues. So it's basically a button that says, it tells the audience to laugh, which brings me up another thought. How did the audience feel about that? Like, clearly they're watching this stuff, they're seeing how uncomfortable Lindsay is in this situation. You know, if I was in the audience, I'd be like, you get that cue to laugh, and it'd be like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I would walk out of the room. I would like to know if anybody out there was an audience member during this specific episode. Reach out to me. Email me at repkings@live.com or any social media that you feel comfortable doing. I'd like to hear from you. Like I said, Lindsay or David has yet to respond to any of this situation. Definitely want to know more about it. So, that being said, and as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed it. I want to know what you think. So why don't you go ahead and leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up for those likes as always, brothers and sisters. I will see you in the next video. I just changed my profile picture on Twitter. I want to show you. Look at that. Look at that. It's like a ray of sunshine mixed with a bottomless black hole that's sucking the soul out of everything that's around it. Isn't it just so sweet? There's another thing I want to talk about this week, and that's what Eugenia Cooney said in her live stream just yesterday. One of the quotes being that, I'm not victim blaming anybody, but I'm just saying, Eugenia Cooney 2021. This sparks a bigger debate, and we're going to talk about that. And I have a couple other things that I want to cover this week. If you guys have suggestions on videos, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, reach out on Instagram, Facebook for wholesome memes, anything that you feel more comfortable using. I've probably got it. I even got a TikTok. If you're interested in that, I'll put it in the pinned comment. That being said, enjoy today's episode of the Rep Reports, and I will see you next time, because I know that you're repping. If you're not repping, you're getting how you do that. I gotta subscribe with notifications turned on. Be in the comment section after every single video, because I'm gonna be there. Greg the Cat's gonna be there, and the rest of the Rep Squad community as well, and I expect to see you there too, because this channel loves you.